Hello everyone, this is Credit giving you a shoutcast between Morrow and Drewbie, this time on Lost Temple. Morrow spawning as the blue Zerg player at the 6 o'clock position, meanwhile Drewbie spawning here at the 2 o'clock position as the red Terran. Terran versus Zerg once again, this time on Lost Temple. This is game 3 in this series so far, as we now see an Overlord making its way out from Morrow. This is going to be a relative close spawn here on Lost Temple, and this one Zelnaga Watchtower will act as an early defense and early warning systems for any ground units that are trying to make their way out of the base. The high ledge over here has been used effectively by Terran players in the past with a Thor here or even siege tanks here in order to deal damage onto the hatchery and then denying the Zerg player essentially their second expansion, as a lot of Zerg players try to expand very quickly early on. We now see an Overlord now making its way perhaps into this direction as well, gonna park itself here, and based upon this, it looks as though Morrow will be trying to set up an early hatchery, perhaps a 15 hatchery in just a second. However, things should not be going very well for him at all, as Drewbie is in fact spawning over here, and this is going to be a close spawn as a drone now makes its way across the map. Will Morrow open up differently if he does see that it is going to be a relative ally spawn here on Lost Temple? It does not look like it, as Morrow now moving down with this one drone, gonna grow up into a hatchery, and now he's gonna walk up this ramp and quickly see exactly what he doesn't want to see. A barracks now being placed down on the front door, showing and revealing the location of Drewbie. We now see a refinery currently being built down as well, so it is not going to be any mass marine play. As this drone continuing to wander around the map, we do see one SCV here, and now the drone going to try to take down that SCV, trying to delay him. If he did that earlier, that may have actually been able to delay any marine production, but it does not look like that will be the case. We do finally see a spawning pool coming into play in addition to an extractor. So extractor and spawning pool now coming in, as we now see a drone just continuing to wander around as well. We'll be able to get some damage onto that one SCV relatively easily in just a moment, as an SCV now walks up this ramp and quickly sees the spawning pool and the extractor, and now knows that speedlings are most likely gonna be moving along in just a moment. One drone now making its way down over here, perhaps in order to time it and then grow up to be a spine crawler, acting as a little bit of base defense. As Morrow tries to shoo away this one SCV. SCV is now down to 25 hit points. We do see Extractor now currently being built and then getting cancelled and rebuilt once again. So Morrow doing a great job just trying to deny any additional gas as he saw that factory go down. So as a Zerg player, a lot of the times you're not sure whether or not you really want to do this extractor trick and try to slow down his gas production. If you see a factory being placed down, you most likely want to do that just because it shows that he's trying to go higher up into that tech tree. However, with that being said, Drewbie could be going for mass Hellions and mass Marines, which would be fairly effective. However, with Morrow now getting spine crawlers over here on the north side of this hatchery, he should be able to defend this location fairly easily relatively easily with a couple queens, as well as queens are now currently being trained up as well. So currently in play, we have 2 hatcheries, a lot of queens. Taking a look at the harvester count, 19 harvesters compared to 17. So it does look like Drewbie has a little bit of an economic advantage, especially when you add in those mules. It's not very much apparent by taking a look at the minerals, but as soon as you account for the gas, you can see how much gas, or how little gas essentially, Morrow is currently mining, finally transferring some additional drones back into there in order to get even more gas. Production-wise, Hellions and Marines now trying to fight back this one spine crawler, a little bit out of position, and there are queens just dilly-daddling next to that spine crawler, as that poor spine crawler took about 145 points of damage, 135 points of damage, excuse me, as they were just lounging about. We do see more drones now being produced, and now with drones, with power droning, we do see that we're going to have Morrow get a little bit of an economically, now 25 harvesters, especially as he's now mining off of 16 mineral patches instead of 8, no diminishing returns there. We do see a Thor now being trained up, and now most likely we should see a medevac in just a moment. The medevac needs to be trained up, otherwise that Thor will have to wait around for a lift. And now that we see that extractor block was effective in delaying the amount of gas, there we go, there's that medevac in order to create that Thor ship, as an Overlord is now currently parked here and parked here as well. So that Thor will be spotted as long as Morrow tries to set up a Zergling here. This one Overlord in this position is watching a very, very wide range of sight now. And we also have an Overlord up on that high ground. And we do see a couple Queens down over here, but I do not believe I see a Roach Warren yet. No Roach Warren, just Banelings. So it is going to be trying to do a Baneling bust in order to use Banelings in order to hold out with these Marines. And now out moves this Thor ship. So that Thor ship now moving out. The Hellion intercepting at just the right time, denying that sight. And now this Thor will be coming in, and that was absolutely perfectly timed, as now we are going to get that medevac just unloading that one Thor there, and now you can see some damage now being dealt. The Spine Crawler down to 31 hit points. There it goes. One Queen now trying to come in as well, but this one Thor at down to 138 hit points needs to pull back, needs to be very, very careful. And now there are some SCVs as well, so Drewbie using those SCVs in order to repair up that Thor. And it looks like, yes, the Thor ship will be able to deal a lot of damage once again. SCVs perhaps should try to start repairing. Otherwise, if that Thor does get taken down, that will be a significant loss, as if it could have been repaired already and back up to full hit points. Now we do see a Spire currently being built, and now Vikings also being trained as well, in addition to a Siege Tank. No Siege Tech though, as that Thor able to finish that off and then simply snipe down that hatchery. So both Spine Crawlers and that hatchery has now been taken down, and things are not looking good. We do see that there is now a setting up of an expansion over here at the 9 o'clock position by Morrow. Morrow wanting to take a new base instead, and now trying to go after some of these new buildings that are currently being placed down. The Spire already down to 850 hit, or at 850 hit points, and in comes that medevac. The medevac down to 62 hit points, as the Thor getting scared off by drones. So mass drones able to somehow hold that attack back, as those SCVs are currently on auto repair. Perhaps should try to let that medevac park in that position for just a moment, as we now see a Viking in the air as well. The Viking perhaps will be able to come back here and land and deal some damage. There are a couple Overlords over here as well that are going to be very, very vulnerable to additional damage, as the SCVs are now once going to be lifted off out of this location here. So Drewbie with those 4 SCVs able to snipe down this hatchery and then cause a little bit of issues, as this one Viking trying to deal more damage. We do see that there is currently a Queen in play down here on that low ground, and now there are also some Mutalisks in the air. So there's going to be a total of 5 Mutalisks in just a moment. But moving out with Marine Siege Tanks, 2 Siege Tanks, no Siege Tech, and now an SCV as well. I believe that is going to be enough, especially as those SCVs are going to be able to start auto-repairing even further and dealing more damage. The creep does reveal this over here, as there are now some Mutalisks in the air. The Mutalisks quickly getting cleaned up. Drones now being transferred over as well. Those Marines on that stim pack, able to move very, very quickly, will be able to deal a lot of damage. And now down go the rest of these drones. Things are not looking good. We do see some Zerglings now coming over here, and now one Mutalisk trying to take down this one Thor, but there are enough SCVs nearby in order to repair it. Some of those SCVs were taken down, and now using a scanner sweep and just trying to clean up and making sure that those Zerglings do not have that movement boost, and being able to swarm on top of those Thors and these Marines and Siege Tanks very, very easily. I do believe there is a Baneling nest, but no Banelings nearby whatsoever, as those Marines are just going to simply be able to walk up this ramp and finish this game. One Thor over here, and Marines now trying to pull back, trying to get some distance between those Zerglings. Zerglings unable to really swarm around, and those Siege Tanks will be able to hold that position there, and now let them deal a lot of damage, as that Thor trying to fight back against the rest of those Mutalisks. However, a nice pick up there, and now this Thor needs to pick up that last Thor. Otherwise, oh, now that Thor, both of them are very, very low on hit points, trying to run away. Those the Mutalisks are going to be able to deal a lot of damage, and in comes the Thor. Thor dropping down once again, able to pick it up, and no, going to simply leave it there. So that was a horrible loss there, as we now have a new Thor and a couple Marines and 1 Siege Tank here, and now Morrow back in this game with multiple hatcheries already down, 3 hatcheries in play, and I believe that Drewbie thought he was in a much more dominant position, finally needs to take an expansion of his own. Harvester count 31 compared to 39 harvesters now for Morrow, as Morrow was power droning and now will be able to macro up a very large army. Combat shield now being researched. Missile turrets, I do not see the level 1 weapons upgrade for any of those Marines. No upgrades on those Marines, no upgrades on the Thors either. So the Thors will still take 3 rounds of attack in order to shoot down a very, very healthy Mutalisk that's in the air. Back over here, this hatchery is now ready in play. You can see Morrow sitting on a lot of minerals, should be able to spawn more larvae and get a stronger economy going, as now we see Drewbie trying to set up his natural expansion. A couple missile turrets are in play, a bunker down over here in order to get some Marines in just a moment. And now it is going to be two bases against 3 as those Mutalisks once again are on the move, trying to get them damaged out. Thor's launching those javelin missiles straight into those Mutalisks, and now in come those Zerglings. Zerglings now going to try to do a surround here, unable to really move back any further. However, there are 2 Thors on the ground as those Marines are continuing to able to deal a lot of damage back and forth. One of those siege tanks down to 20 hit points. Queen needs to desperately get away. We do see Marines now using those stim packs, able to finish off some of those queens as more creep tumors are now being laid down, and down goes this last queen over here. So there are currently 2 Thors, 1 siege tank. A lot of those SCVs just constantly need to repair. And now Drewbie moving off to the north in order to stop the expansion over here, realizing that perhaps there's going to be more armies being massed in the back. 2 Thors now once again on the move. There are some SCVs down over here, and now in come move the rest of these. In come these Marines. Marines trying to fight back against these Zerglings. Zerglings just trying to swarm, trying to deal more damage across multiple Thors. But those Thors are able to shoot down some of those Zerglings, and especially with that Marine support, the Marines able to counter those Zerglings once they have medevac and those combat shields. Those Zerglings didn't get a real chance to truly surround and take down and deal enough damage to stop those Marines. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Mouse Morrow and Drewbie here on Lost Temple.